thinking through sort of, let's call it the lifespan of the podcast that we do called the Jocko Podcast. And there was a little while in the beginning, and someone asked me about this the other day, there was a little while in the beginning where I was considering, instead of doing it once a week, doing it like once every 2 weeks, maybe even once a month. And we sort of talked about that. We kind of broached that topic a little bit on the podcast itself. This is not a real sustainable workload of the amount of effort that it takes to put into doing the podcast. And by the way, doing this podcast, doing the Jocko podcast and this podcast and the Unraveling podcast and the Warrior Kid podcast, like all these podcasts, they're not really my primary job. So there's people that have the primary thing that they do with their life is do a podcast, but this isn't really.
Oh, like other people who do podcasts.
Other people that do podcasts, like that's what they do in their life is they do podcasts. That's kind of it. Portion of what I do. And so the workload is not like, oh, one podcast a week was a lot. I don't know if I can handle it. It was that one podcast a week plus the bunch of other things I have going on. It didn't seem like it was sustainable. And so I was kind of, socializing the idea with the people of like, hey, we're maybe thinking, well, the feedback was not good. But yeah, the workload is tough because there's no staff. There's no one like helping to prep. There's no one doing any back research or anything like that. And so we just kind of stuck to it, and then after a little while, after like another probably 50 podcasts, I said to myself that the discipline that was imposed upon me by forcing myself to do this thing was hugely beneficial. It was making me read more. It was making me write more. It was making me think through things more. It was making me question myself and what I knew or what I thought I knew. There's a lot of books that I wouldn't have read and wouldn't have known anything about if I wouldn't have been saying, hey, I owe a podcast. So therefore, I have to read this book. Because otherwise, maybe I'd be, watching Netflix and eating popcorn in front of the television for 4 hours. But no, I'm reading a book for 4 hours. Mm-hmm. What am I doing on a Sunday? I'm reading a book. What am I doing on a Saturday evening? I'm reading a book. What am I doing Saturday day? I'm reading a book. What am I doing Monday afternoon? Oh, I'm prepping. So benefit that's given me has been great to put myself in a position where I kind of have to do this stuff. And I think right now we're going to keep pushing. Now, we, explore some other topics that interest me. But yes, there are other topics in the world that I'm interested in and that have influenced me and that I've learned from besides just war. Now, war obviously is my primary mode of thinking. Is that weird?
Well,
a little bit weird.
Yeah, for the normal person.
If I'm gonna make a comparison, I'm almost always gonna go to war. Yeah. I'm almost always gonna think about some kind of war because the comparison is like, okay, here's an example. We're gonna be able to see the example very clearly because it's gonna be a life and death scenario. Yeah. This is gonna be a pressure leadership situation. Like war is good for that, and that's why I kind of think that way. But I also have gotten things from things that aren't war, from other aspects of life. From jiu-jitsu is another huge one. Mm-hmm. But from surfing, from playing music, from listening to music, from other activities and other things and other people in life that I've met along the way. So, maybe some people will be like, I don't want to hear about that stuff. And that's okay, right? That's okay. I understand. There's going to be some people that just want to hear about war. Cool. That's cool. Maybe we'll make some podcasts that they might not want to listen to. We've had some musicians on here. We've had a photographer on here. We've had business people on. We've had some other people on the podcast. I think if I'm starting to do something that I'm not, or if I'm chasing something that I'm interested in, then I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
And I pursue it, and I'm going to learn more. And if I learn something, here's the cool thing: just like a book, if I pick up a book to do the podcast on, and I get 20 pages into the book, and I'm like, this is not going to get me anywhere. It's not going to. I have nothing to pass on to anybody from this. Then I'm not doing it. Well, if I decide to think about doing a topic, and I decide, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't like. There's nothing to learn here. There's no broad lessons for the people. I'm not putting it out. I think we just keep driving. We will keep driving down this road. We don't know what's up ahead. I legitimately don't know what's up ahead as far as topics, as far as like subject matter, as far as human beings that we bring on or that come on. I don't know. I don't know where it ends up because I'm not sure where the road goes. But it has been a long, strange trip this far.
If you've been following them from the beginning, where, you know, when they started, they were on this like the most rudimentary live streaming website. Yep. It's called something Justin TV, or sort of Justin.tv or something like this, where him and this guy Red Band, Brian, they would like, and Eddie Bravo would be on there sometime, and they're just talking, and they're like, you listen to it, and I'm like, why am I listening to this? Even though it is kind of fun to listen to, it's just guys talking trash and having fun, making jokes and stuff. So even that, he had skill in that, which is literally unseen. And as he evolved, and it seemed really natural too, where he just got more and more into the conversational kind of part of it. But at the same time, it wasn't like this prepared performance like you might see on TV or something like this. And you know, some people, they can do a performance in a play or something like this, and you'd be like, oh, he nailed that. I don't think I could do that, or a singer or something. So when we started, when you would talk, you're like kind of the same way, where you're just literally the exact same person off the mic as you are on the mic. But when you get on the mic as a normal person, it's like, you're on the mic now, and it's way different. Just like how you said the actors, like, you know, I can act, and once all the cameras are on and everyone's watching you and the microphone's in your face, and you're like, oh, like, bro, you don't know what to do. It's like,
funny. At Echelon Front, when we're making like videos at Echelon Front for training, for putting out word, and everyone's joke is like, everyone knows what they're going to say, and then the camera hits record. Yep. And everyone just goes into brain lock, and it takes 9 takes to get a 45-second video.
You know, so that's like a skill. It's one of those unseen skills, you know, and it's really, really critical. So that's what I noticed. And then here's when I really noticed it. When we started, and then a lot of people that we know, they come to me and ask me, hey, I want to start a podcast and all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, it's even better because there's no pressure. I can just let you talk, you know. But so I understood, but they'd be like, hey, what advice do you have or whatever? And that's what I would say. And here's another phenomenon that I would see, where some people, they embrace the cameras and all that, and then they act like a different person. It's like all of a sudden they're this like dramatic expert now, you know. And it's like, bro, it's like, it doesn't sound right, bro. So that, and then the other main thing, as far as advice that I would give, and I still will give, is like, you got to keep doing it.